Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. I wanted to do a summary of some of these Star Citizen leaks that have been talked about more recently, talking even more about the Nomad, about the RSI gunship, some other little leaks, and some, well, less grounded and less confirmable leaks coming from the Chinese community as well. There is a lot of speculation about the Nomad, which is expected to be the ship coming from Consolidated Outlands, that's rumoured to be straight to flyable and potentially going to be available at the start of the 2950 Intergalactic Aerospace Expo on the 20th of November, where it should at the very least be unveiled, but it appears to be a straight to flyable ship from the rumours. There are a few possibilities about what this ship might be, though. There's no confirmation yet. The most likely option, in my opinion, is that it is a mobile refinery ship that was originally talked about at CitizenCon 2019. Star Citizen leaks have previously suggested it could also potentially be a fighter. One of the suggestions on Info Runners was that it was a mini Banu merchantman, sort of type hauler or small shop ship. I had speculated at one point that it could even be a mini base building ship. But if it's a refinery, and it looks like most likely it is, then I think it could potentially have some more functionality just beyond refining minables, and maybe it has some tractor beams for utility as well. They are fleshing out the refining mechanics in Alpha 3.12, so it sort of kind of makes sense, although will the ship, if it is a refinery, have refinery function in 3.12? We don't know. It could just be for stations, the refining mechanics in 3.12, because that sort of makes more sense than them also having this ship ready with those mechanics straight away, but we'll have to wait and see. Also, this might not just be a refinery for minables, maybe it's for gas as well. Could it siphon gas and liquids? These are sort of all possibilities. Some of those ideas could step on the toes of what the Starfarer is supposed to be. There were hints in a data leak as well that there was a skin for the Nomad called the Black Widow. Interestingly, the Black Widow is also the name of a currently in-law heavy fighter that RSI made to compete against the F-8A Lightning, which had the latter ship coming out on top in getting a military contract with the UEE, which is why we've seen the F-8A Lightning flying around, pew, 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 shooting stuff around on Fleet Week and stuff like that. We know that something from RSI is also coming with the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, most likely on the RSI day on the 28th of November. However, rather than a Black Widow heavy fighter, it's likely to be the RSI gunship that's been rumoured. Originally being referred to as the Odin, it's apparently now called the Perseus. In Greek mythology, Perseus is one of the greatest Greek heroes and slayer of monsters. He beheaded the Gorgon Medusa as one of his many accolades. From what we've seen leaked and talked about the ship, it's probably a anti-large, anti-capital ship type ship with probably large conventional or possibly large beam weapons. Now, admittedly, beam weapons isn't in any form of leak or anything. People haven't talked about beam weapons being part of this new gunship. I just want it to have beam weapons, and we do know that Cloud Imperium want to have proper beam weapons in the game. Once they've talked about beam weapons, they're going to be a thing. How does the Perseus relate to its function, though? So the name Perseus, is it because maybe it's a monster slayer? Monsters in this case being capital ships? Maybe. Also, the Info Runners podcast talked about these things recently, and I'll put their Nomad theory crafting video in the description below. So, there were also some data mines from Star Citizen leaks of some interesting bits suggesting that NPCs might be smoking as animations, and there could also be toilet and bathroom animations of some kind too from NPCs and players. There were some more questionable leaks from what appears to be the Star Citizen Chinese community. I'll give you a quick summary of what I read on these, but take them with a heap of salt and some potential lost in translation. And the original video this was from was like a Chinese stream, and I can't verify any of it because I don't speak Chinese. Also, some of this info is old, some of it's tied with sort of like plausible bits, others a little bit more far-fetched. A large-scale event and mission chain with various endings is potentially coming by the end of the year. Players can join the Civil Defence Force to help the advocacy protect the standard system, with various missions going on and sort of like these larger-scale incursions and fleet battles. If true, this is assumedly this Xeno threat set of missions, which we've talked about before. This would have a UEE Navy type fleet moving around that we saw sort of like from Fleet Week, but they wouldn't be UE Navy, they'd be a criminal group known as Xenothreat, and they'd be sort of pirates, effectively. The leaker has even suggested this event is Squadron 42 quality, whatever that means. We do know that Cloud Imperium have been working a load on trying to get the Idris and even the Javelin more functional for the persistent universe. We saw them in Fleet Week. They were not that functional, but they were sort of semi-working, and now they want to get them into a much more workable state for 3.12 at the very least. And I say at the very least, at least the Idris, I suppose is what I mean there, because the Idris is the one that is mentioned in the features for 3.12, having that NPC security ship turn up and defend space stations. Now, could they have it as a event in the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo or in 3.12 as well, where there are these sort of like large-scale roaming fleets? Well, they could. It's certainly possible. We've previously talked about leaks for Xenothreat before as well. We've had some of the audio files which literally have them talk about the Civil Defense Force forming a sort of like counter operation to go against the Xenothreat threat, and it sounds like it will be like an open raid style mission. At least some of these missions will be open raid style, where you would literally be trying to attack an Idris and fleet with it. Also, we do know that Cloud Imperium have been trying to get the Arlington Gang set of missions in, which ends the chain with having you fight an Idris with one of those. So there's a lot of plausibility to some of that leak. At least at some point I would expect to see those Xenothreat missions, is what I'm trying to say. And also, it makes sense that Cloud Imperium want to get sort of Pyro as a location more in lore talked about and sort of like start to hype it up a bit more. Xenothreat is supposed to hail from Pyro, and it sort of just makes sense for world building. What else did we have here? It looks like Cloud Imperium are potentially supporting a wider sort of set of language localizations. However, the leaker didn't know if Star Citizen and Squadron 42 would have Chinese language options for release, and he wants to push foreign language options ASAP, basically. Something else that was suggested was that Pyro is mostly completed already. At least they had a version that they sort of built out mostly that didn't require server meshing, but it didn't have all the points of interest, environments and tech they wanted quite at that stage. So they're waiting on server meshing that allows them to support Pyro and more features before putting it in the game was sort of like what they decided on. There is a big focus on multiplayer and multi-crew gameplay for the first 2 quarters of 2021 as well. The spreading and putting out of fires, damage control, medical gameplay. They further talk about medipens and oxypens being used as ammo for the medgun that Cloud Imperium are building out for medical gameplay. You'll get points for healing other players in theatres of war as well, so it sounds like the medigun and medipens are going to be very important there. The updates to cockpits and physicalized button rework for them is also being made in mind with VR for the future. So they've sort of like going, well, where would we have to put these buttons and do this so that when they build VR later on, they don't have to rebuild the cockpits again, I suppose. They also talked about some Squadron 42 leaks as well. They said they were doing internal tests and polishing Squadron 42 at the moment. They suggested that Squadron 42 is actually potentially almost ready for release and is in a similar state to that of Cyberpunk 2077. Though we know that Cloud Imperium did actually say that Squadron 42 would not be beta ready in 2020. And even if Squadron 42 is mostly complete, the last 10% of a game can take potentially the longest amount of development time. Getting it all polished, getting all the other bits in, and there are certainly some core elements of Star Citizen that are definitely not complete yet. But as I said, take those leaks with a bit more salt, and all leaks with salt anyway. But that's mainly what I wanted to talk about, and then maybe get a bit of speculation going in the comments below as well. What type of ship do you think the Nomad will be? What about the Perseus? Will that be a big capital ship hunter, or is it going to be something else? Do you think these leaks are totally wrong and we might have gone off on a tangent? Could they all be wrong? Do you think that Squadron 42 is actually quite far along in its development, or do they have a huge amount more to do? Are you looking forward to the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, and do you expect to see anything else there new? Do you think that we will see Xenothreat at the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo event, or at the end of the year with 3.12? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Each month we have a ship giveaway. For November, we are giving away a Mercury Star Runner again. This highly anticipated multi-role ship is going to be great for small to medium-sized crews that want to do a bit of everything, whether that be cargo running, data running, missions, combat, smuggling, all that sort of jazz. And it's going to be in-game and flyable very soon. All you've got to do to be in for a chance of winning one is comment on any of my videos made during October, including this one. More details down below. What am I shilling for today, I hear you ask? Do you hate it when people steal all of your money and your house over the internet? I know I do. NordVPN may have been invented by wizards to help protect your personal data from the prying eyes of the dark web, a sinister cabal of technomancers that grow in power the more they know about your browsing habits. The true story of NordVPN's origins are unknown and lost to the ages, and without using facts, no one really knows how it provides more accessibility to otherwise censored websites or a safer security experience for all that use it. All I know is that it does, and that when you sign up to it, the power level of my bank account grows, and I use it, and maybe you should too.